Hi beautiful ladies, this morning I am talking to you about choosing or attracting or staying with the wrong man. So quite often when I'm talking to clients who have had toxic relationships in the past, what ends up happening is that they have a cycle of those. It's not just one toxic relationship, it turns into another and another and another. And they say to me, I don't understand, what is it that I'm doing? And I'm like, it's not really specifically about what you're doing, it's kind of what you're putting out there. So, do you opt for a man who needs fixing, changing or rescuing? Possibly that is one of the reasons why you are struggling so much to find a healthy man, is because you are a giver, you are an empath, you take on other people's monkeys, you want to sort of sympathize with them and feel like they're feeling and say to them, no, it's okay, if we are together we can get past this, we can get through this together, and that will make us stronger, and that's great. But that's actually not how it works. If you get together with somebody or start dating somebody who you realise quite quickly is in emotional turmoil or distress, or they need fixing and they've had, like, the last relationship was incredibly difficult for them, maybe they had somebody cheat on them and you need to constantly reassure and what have you, that's not your job. That's not your job as a girlfriend or a wife. It's not your job to fix people. If you are starting to see somebody and you pretty much like everything, but there are some elements you want to change, that's probably not a great match for you, and all that you're doing is prolonging the inevitable that relationship is going to at some point end. Or alternatively, you rescue them. So, my wife doesn't understand me, we're separated now, and you want to rescue them from that difficult situation. Maybe you're a little bit further on in the curve of healing and what have you, and you think, oh no, I want to help this person as well. No, stop it. The reason that you are choosing these people is because of a self-esteem issue, something in here that you're struggling with, something in here. It's really, really, really important to understand why you are doing this in the first place. So let's say, for example, you have found somebody who is finding things difficult emotionally with a past relationship, and you think, right, okay, so they are not a 10 out of 10 at the moment, they are a 6 out of 10. But that's okay, because I'm only a 6 out of 10. Hold on one sec. Sorry, it's so hot. I'm getting a bit dry-mouthed. So why do we choose that? We choose it because we're not scoring ourselves high enough. We're not giving ourselves enough credit in the first place that actually we are worth a decent man who is actually ready to move to the next stage, ready to move to the next level. Instead, we pick on people, well, not pick on because that makes it sound like bullying, and I don't mean that. We attract men instead who are emotionally unavailable because they're not quite there yet. Because men generally don't do the same amount of healing. That's why I predominantly work with women, because you guys can dive deep. You guys can see, how to sort of get to the next level. Men find that a lot more difficult. So if you come across somebody in your dating or your online chatting, or you bump into somebody and then you end up going out on a date and what have you, and you recognise that actually if you're with this person, you have a role that's beyond a girlfriend, you are a fixer, you are a healer, you are a rescuer, you are a reassurer, then actually those are red flags. And I will talk about red flags tons, about how we paint those red flags green. And actually lots of people do it. I'll talk about that in another thing because that's a whole other topic. But empathise with them by all means. Give them advice or suggestions and what have you about how they can get past this. But don't get involved with them because they're not ready. And actually all that will happen is you will give and you will give and you will give. You won't get back what you're putting in. Then you'll realise that you've lost your entire soul to this other person. And if you want to walk away, you're going to leave empty-handed. So if you recognise that you are going into fixer, rescuer or changer role, then walk away. This is not what your job is as a girlfriend. It's not what your job is as a partner. It's not what your job is in any way, shape or form. You are not there to fix other people. Focus on yourself. Focus on healing yourself, but don't get involved with those. So by all means, give them empathy and give them suggestions about what they can do next, but please don't get involved with them, because actually you're just delaying the inevitable, and it would be much better if you can cut it and move on. Release them to do more healing for themselves and recognise for you that that's not your job. But what is your job? Now that's a live for another day. I'm talking about what is your job significantly more in the course that I'm running soon. So I'll be running alongside this group a Healing Your Toxic Past Academy, where there'll be an intake of approximately 10 people every other month to take you through a lot more in-depth content about this. So if you are intrigued, then do drop me a message, and I would love to have a chat with you. No obligation, you can just find out a little bit more about it, but if you want to join us, the November intake is open already. I know November seems a really long way away, but it's worth sort of getting your interest in now, because there is currently an early bird price of $597, so don't miss out on the early bird price of that. So that will give you an intense 4 weeks where you have access to me a little bit one-to-one, and access to me weekly as a group, with other work and journaling points and all of that sort of thing as well. But it takes you through a pathway. It takes you through from childhood and what relationships were established in your childhood, all the way through to present day and to the future as well, with preparing for a new and healthy relationship. So if you're like, do you know what? I've tried everything else, I might as well give this a go, I would love to have you. So do make contact with me if you are interested. Okay, so now you know, those are not your jobs. Fixer, rescuer, healer, not your jobs. Walk away if you come across somebody who is like that, because you will only be delaying the inevitable. And I don't want that for you, beautiful ladies. I want you to have healthy, loving, caring relationships. Sure, they'll have their blips, but not to the extent of the toxicity that you might have experienced to date. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care, lots of love.